So, like many of you probably, I have a job. Like this, in a sense, is my job. But as well, I've had many other jobs. I've worked at places like Safeway. I worked for here at Chico State. I've done research with professors. I've also been a tutor for math, for pre-calc, calc, and a few other things. Sometimes I'm a free tutor for my friends just to help them out. But you've had a job, and obviously you've gotten paid. And sometimes you just want to add up how much you get paid over a certain amount of days, months, or weeks that you've worked. And by doing that, you just kind of sum up how much you've gotten paid the week before, then your current week, the week after, and so on. So something we can do with that is create a while loop for you to include how much you've worked, how much you've gotten paid over how many weeks you worked. So what I can do is I can go in here, put, let's say, weeks work, worked, and then ask for input, then how many weeks have you worked? So just a simple variable that contains an integer based on how many weeks we worked. And then, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create, let's say, total money. Just currently we'll have it at 0 because we haven't put anything in yet. Then I'm going to do a while loop. So a while loop is similar to a for loop if you watched that video, the way it iterates through something. So a for loop, mostly we use it to iterate through lists, tuples, and a bunch of other things. While loops are used more based on, like in a sense right now, a user input when you don't really know what value you're going to. So a while loop can keep running until, in a sense, a condition is made. So like while the money does not equal 0, it'll keep asking you whatever you want inside that while loop. Or let's say if I input 15, it'll do whatever I want it to do in that while loop 15 times or until 15 is reached if I'm incrementing by 1, and so on. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say while weeks worked does not equal 0, then you always remember to put the colon right after your while loop, and to indent. Indenting is really important because it just, whenever you indent, that's just saying, all right, this part of my code, I want it to be part of that while loop. Like right there, it automatically indents it for me, so that's kind of neat, and I don't have to worry about that. But always just make sure, if you want to include something inside a while loop, just indent it, and you're all good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, let's say, I want another integer, so let's say money made is equal to input, or actually I can also say, we'll say that for now. So something simple like that. Then I can do money, total money, not money total. I cannot type today. Good. Money total is equal to, total money is equal to money made. I'll just put that in the front for correct syntax. Total money. There we go. Okay, so basically, it's simple code just saying, so since I already have total money, that's going to calculate or store how much money I made in total after a certain amount of weeks worked. I'm just adding that plus money made, so each time the while loops, it's going to keep adding more to that total money. And it's going to save whatever I added previously and add what I want to add next to what I have saved, and so forth and so forth. So it's going to do that. And then what I want to do as well since I wanted the while loop to repeat only a certain amount of times, I'm gonna be decreasing the amount of weeks worked by 1 if I want to go by 1. So I'm gonna do that really quickly, because if I don't, then the while loop is gonna run infinitely, since it doesn't have a statement saying, all right, decrease the value. I want to check that if it's not equal to 0. So in this case, if I just left it like that, it'd have an infinite while loop, meaning it'd go on forever, just because I don't have a statement decreasing that week's work, meaning it can never reach an end in a sense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just say weeks worked is equal to weeks worked minus 1. It's just simple saying, all right, at the end of that while loop, subtract weeks worked by 1. Then it's gonna check that condition again, run until the condition is not is equal to 0. Then it's over. So yeah, I don't know if I explained that part right here, but basically putting exclamation point and an equal sign next to a number, just saying that it's not equal to. That's really simple. Just saying, all right, if this isn't equal to this, keep running. But if it is equal, the minute it is equal, it just cancels out of the loop. So we're gonna do that. Boom. Then right here, I'm gonna unindent because I don't want this next part to be part of that while loop. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say print total money. Something simple. Oh. Okay. Okay, so we have that all set. So now we run this. 1, 3, then no, not that one. Okay. Boom. Okay. So automatically just ask how many weeks have we worked. Simple. I'm gonna put, say I worked 5 weeks. So how much money did you make this week? I'm gonna put, let's say in 1 week I made like $200. Something simple. How much money did you make another week? Say 220, 230, 210. That's 4, and then one more. Let's say 205. And let's say after all those 5 weeks worked, I made a total of $1,065. We're all set. So as you can see, the while loop repeated 5 times based on how many times I put, and each time. So I started at 5, put in how much I made that time. It decreased by 1, then 1 again, since it was now 4. Check the condition. If it's not equal to 0, keep going. Then 3, then 2, then 1, and then once it reached 0, it didn't run the loop again. It checked the condition. Oh, it's true. All right, now just go to the next chunk of code, which was just print total money. So one thing that I could do to make this a bit more, I guess you could say complex, or just like add a bit more detail, instead of saying how much money did you make this week, I could just add a little counter. I can say right here, weeks. I can do week on and start this at 1. So what I do is I'm gonna create a f string. How much money did you make? Instead of this week, I can say week. How many did you make? Week on. And then similar to here, since I want week on to increment, I can just say week on. Oh, spelled that wrong. Week on equal to let's say +1. All right, and let's say I'm gonna create also a temporary value. So I'm gonna say that total weeks is equal to weeks worked. Okay, so these two values I created, week on, and then total weeks, since I'm decreasing what weeks worked is, that value is going to be changing from whatever I input all the way to 0. So now what I wanted to do with this total weeks is keep the original value into like a temporary value that I have, just so that when I print out again right here, instead of just having it to print out one thing, I'm gonna print out a statement just so it's a bit nicer. And then I'm gonna be able to put, okay, after these many weeks worked, now I can just use total week instead of weeks worked, since weeks worked is decreasing, but total weeks is stayed at a singular value of how many weeks I worked. And now, went down. And now week on, that is just so in my for loop, instead of it saying, oh, how much money did you make this week? We can just ask, how much money did you make week 1, week 2, week 3, and so on, you know? So that's why I did that here, put week on in this F string, just asking so it increments. And that's why I also included in the while loop. Because if I didn't have an increment of week on in the while loop, then it just say, how much money did you make week 1 over and over and over again. But since I'm incrementing the value in this line of code right here, then we don't have to worry about that. It's going to be incrementing as the while loop goes on. So now, let's say I run this. Oops, spelled that wrong. 3, boom. Okay, how many weeks have you worked? I worked, let's say, 4 this time. How many weeks did you? How much money did I make week 1? My apologies. So boom, 230. Boom. Let's say 220. Okay. Now, let's say I made a bit less, 150 on another one, and that is my fault. So since I didn't return any value for the 4th one, the computer doesn't know what an increment, so it threw out that error. So now let me run that again. This I'm actually including. So let's say 4 weeks. So let's say 430. Boom. 220. Let's say 150, like we had it. And then my 4th week, let's say I made like $100. A total of $700. So the reason it didn't print out anything here was because I didn't ask it to print out anything. So I'm gonna just create another printout just so you can see. Oh. And say an F string as well. So after, let's say, total, what is it, total weeks? After blank weeks, you made a total of, say, total money, boom, dollars. Boom. So that's, yeah, total. So like I said, I included here total weeks in this F string. Total weeks, just to say how many weeks I worked in total, and then the total amount of money I made. So now, boom. I'm going to save that. I'm going to clear this. Go again. Okay, again, how many weeks did you work? How much money did I make week 1? Let's say 230. Maybe I balled out this week, somehow made $400. And then how much money did I make my last week? I'm gonna just put, let's say, 240. Boom. First, it's gonna give me that first print, said $870. Then after that, got a bit more complex, more in detail. I said after 3 weeks, you made a total of $870. So yeah, while loops are very simple. They, like I said, they're mostly used, like in this sense, when your condition to what you want it to go to can be changed. It's not set like in a for loop where like a list, you have a set amount of items. While loop just keeps going until a certain condition is made, executes whatever code you want it to do, like here in this case, and after that, you're done with that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this kind of little intro to while loops. Have a good one.